let's just get right into it. Let's talk about Anthony Fantano of Needle Drop talking about Juice WRLD's posthumous album. I don't even remember the title that just came out, and feeling some type of way about it. So let's see exactly why he is not a fan of what they did.
Hi, everyone. Wrinkletony Shirtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. It's time for a rant. And it's not a rant I want to do or I'm looking forward to doing, because I feel like on this channel we have ranted literally on this topic at least a few times. But of course, what I'm talking about once again here is the late rapper, singer, and songwriter Juice WRLD. When it comes to popular musicians who have passed tragically in the past 10 years, few have had the kind of staying power, the kind of demand, the kind of prolonged discourse and fandom that Juice WRLD has.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Out of all these kind of, I mean, let's be real, there's been a large number of deaths within hip hop over the last, I don't know, 5-6 years or so, either through like homicide or just overdoses from drugs, which happen to be Juice WRLD's kind of downfall. But out of all the ones that have happened, which have been a lot, almost too many to even remember right off the top of my head, he is one that kind of has felt his impact kind of continue on, and people kind of still discuss and like mention his missing. And even though his run was extremely short, he did put out a large amount of music and verses and freestyles and stuff for people to kind of still kind of latch onto and have some sort of back catalog for. So I'm not really surprised to see him have like this massive back catalog for like his relatives, friends, or whoever label that was behind kind of this release, to have like all these loosies and verses and stuff to continue to put out music to this day. So he ain't wrong about that.
I mean, it was just recently that this guy got like a Fortnite avatar and everything, which is crazy. As a
yeah, see, I didn't even know that. I don't play Fortnite, so I didn't even know that he got a skin in Fortnite, which is kind of wild. I wonder if XXX was also in Fortnite. If he was in there, but X wasn't in there, that'd be kind of crazy to me.
Of course, as a name, as an artist, that is staying power. And another part of this staying power is just this increased consumption and demand of Juice WRLD's music. And in a way, the upside of that is that, while Juice WRLD was here and was active, he was a very prolific creator and recorder. He left us with quite a bit of music to go by, for sure. And also on top of that, seemingly there is a lot of Juice WRLD music in the vault as well, because there are also few artists who have passed away in the last 10 years that we keep continually getting new music from again and again and again and again, be it a single or an entire project or a collaboration, a feature, a crossover. Yeah, I mean, for an artist who is no longer with us, we do get an awful lot of Juice WRLD music on a very regular basis.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not like the biggest Juice fan. Even before he kind of like passed away, I listened to some songs, I was well aware of them, but it wasn't something that I was like super checking out or like even just tapped into. So I didn't know he was actually dropping this much music as he's kind of alluding to, because I mean, it's been 5 years. You'd think that you would run out at some point. Even Tupac doesn't have new music coming out anymore, and he at least had a almost decade run before he passed away. So he had like a extensive kind of like, it kind of makes you question and wonder, like, is it even possible that you can have all that music coming out and have it not be exploitative, and not have the people behind this, like the labels, his family members, basically at this point just exploiting his name and image and likeness for cash? We'll see.
We are gearing up once again to get more from an upcoming project that has been announced. The Party Never Ends. This announcement coincided with the new formal release of a track featuring Nicki Minaj too. But here's the issue. The music we've been progressively getting from the Juice WRLD camp, from his label, which I believe at this point is still spearheaded by Lil Bibby. Yeah, the Juice WRLD music we have continued to get is just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Either it's redundant and it It doesn't really add to his catalog. It doesn't really, sort of make for.
I mean, that's not surprising. Like I said, even Tupac kind of went through that point where, like, all right, it was cool at first. We were getting all this posthumous albums and music and releases. It still sounded new, still sounded fresh. But at some point, you just start recycling shit and you start putting out shit that artist never intended to come out. And for him to like be exploited 5 years later, there's no shot that this is stuff that he would have had released on his own or even wanted to see the light of day. So at this point, it would definitely feel like you're just exploiting this just for cash, which, is an unfortunate part of artists passing away. I forget which artist it was, but there was one artist in recent times who put in his will that you cannot release any of my music posthumously. And I would not be surprised to see if there are more artists kind of doing that, because labels will go through no lengths not to take advantage of whatever you have left behind to sell to desperate fans trying to like latch on to your music still.
The best stuff he's ever written or performed or released, as Juice WRLD was very clearly the kind of artist who, would just like record a lot, record profusely, kind of just like, do all of his tracks and everything on the fly, and then pick out of what was left over to kind of just grab the highlights and put those onto records, which, I mean, that's a valid way to go about your process. But that doesn't mean every single thing he did in every single moment or recording that we could possibly cobble together should see the light of day. But continually, again and again, that is what we get from the Juice WRLD camp. And, not only are my hopes for the quality of this music not that high, but fans were shocked to see that the cover art to this album is absolutely god-awful. Straight up the ugliest trash to be on the front of any Juice WRLD project so far. And it wasn't that long ago that we had the cover art to the pre-party project, where he looks like some kind of demented anime character sliding down the globe.
Like, yeah, it's straight up exploitation at this point, because to put out this level of quality of artwork and to just kind of continue to pump out shit is like, you don't care. At this point, you're just trying to cash in.
Puking up lean. Like, this drawing is horrid. What is this? This is awful. This is like something a 12-year-old draws on their binder. And yet, the cover art to this new project here is even worse. What's even more shocking is that it was actually created by Takashi Murakami, a legendary Japanese visual artist.
No way, no shot. I was literally about to say that sounded like a looked like a straight up knockoff Kanye West album cover, which was done by, the very famed Japanese artist who was behind, obviously, one of his most iconic covers, Kanye West's Graduation, and Kids See Ghosts, which is an absolutely insane cover in itself. I was going to say that there's no shot that this was actually from him, but a straight up knockoff. Like, you went to somebody on Etsy, not even Etsy, you went to somebody on Fiverr and were like, create me that. Give me a version of this, but with Juice WRLD. But to hear that they actually paid that man, and then that's the cover he came up with, he might just be fucking with them.
Oh, the guy who's made the cover art for projects such as Kids See Ghosts as well as Graduation? Yeah, that Takashi Murakami. When people first saw this album art, I swear to God, there were reactions on social media like, is this just some guy who's ripping off Murakami? This can't possibly be him. But no, it's actually him. And this cover art, I can't even begin to describe how terrible this is. I just have so many questions. Like, why do his abs look like stickers that were pasted onto his stomach with like wood glue? Why is his skin camouflage? The face and the expression.
The face alone, it's pretty wild, seeing as Juice WRLD died from a drug overdose and had a well-documented history of drug abuse and addiction, which ultimately led to his death. And then to have this cover art of him looking like completely drugged out of his mind just feels a bit scummy, like a bit slimy. Like, this is how the dude died and this is how you want him to be remembered. Like, kind of crazy.
On the face, frankly, looks ridiculous. Like, come on, be so for real. This does not look like a quality Murakami piece
No.
that a lot of thought and heart went into. This looks like a fucking Bored Ape NFT. Yes, this looks like a crappy NFT artist that is ripping off.
Oh, apparently he's an NFT artist too. So maybe at this point he's just doing things for the cash, because that is easily the worst piece of art that I've seen him personally put out, especially on a album cover that is going to live on basically through the eternity of music. And to have it be that shitty and be from the man himself is crazy. And I'm sure they did not pay a little bit of money for it. I'm sure they paid a lot of money to this man to create this cover, and they approved it and actually liked what they saw. Somewhere there was something missed.
Murakami style. But that's what's in the forefront of this picture. We haven't even addressed the background. The term eyesore doesn't even begin to cover how the crowd in this image looks. Like, every single figure in the background looks like some ugly Murakami AI ripoff that was like individually photoshopped and then shrunk to fit into the background somewhere. What is this three-eyed thing with the multicolor camo face? What is this other thing? Is this a hamburger with an eye and like hair going over its head? What is this thing? What is this other thing? And what is that thing? I'm just referring to stuff and sort of describing it off the cuff. I bet Austin has like no idea what it is I'm like even referring to as I'm commenting. So not only is this album cover disrespectful because it's just downright offensive to the eyes and unflattering to the artist, but this image and this title is like not a very honest representation in my view of Juice WRLD's music, the message that often came with it, and like the greater context of his past.
I mean, like I said, like I mentioned, the fact that he literally died from drug abuse, drug addiction, and overdose, and was a very painful point for himself and people in his life to watch him basically kill himself. And then for you to put in an album titled The Party Never Ends, and then have him be completely drugged out of his mind on the cover, which straight up looks like an AI configuration of what a Murakami art piece might be. Like, it's something that you could punch into any AI website right now. Like, give me a Murakami album cover featuring Juice WRLD, and you might get something that looks very close to this. Very shitty work. But like I said, the fact that like he dealt with addiction, he died from addiction, and then for you to be like, the party never ends. Look at this Weekend at Bernie's drug zombified version of Juice WRLD on this cover. Tone deaf at the least. Fucked up at the worst.
Today, because look, Juice WRLD, I know he's not like, you know, the most lyrical, most conceptual artist out there, you know, not specifically the kind of artist who you know, would write a bunch of thematic songs coming from different places again and again. But if there's one super consistent theme that ran throughout a lot of his tracks, both old and new, that is vices, it's substance abuse, and not just the highs of that, the fun, the party atmosphere, so on and so forth, but like the crushing lows of that too. The dark side of dependency. And, you know, we just didn't see that through Juice WRLD's tragic loss. Like, that's literally in the content of his music as well. So frankly, I feel like it's kind of, again,
I mean, wasn't that pretty much the whole point of Lucid Dreams, was to say that like drugs are bad? Like, as, you know, fun and as good as they may seem, they're actually kind of bad, and I'm actually kind of fucked up from them. I felt like that was the whole purpose of his biggest song, Lucid Dreams. And then again, for them to run with this very particular image of this artist is like reducing him to the worst parts of his personal life and selling it for profit.
disrespectful, reductive, and out of fucking touch to drop a record and like an album cover that's like, hey, Juice WRLD, well, endless party, we're having a great time. Oh, it's so psychedelic, we're out of our minds, we're totally high, we're wigged out, whoa. Like, what an awful message to send. Yeah, this is just missing the mark in so many ways. And this earlier version of the
God, that is fucking shitty too. Like, I don't know if that, like, that is terrible. The fact that they paid money for these covers is crazy to me.
album cover that features like a different version of Juice WRLD in the foreground. While this illustration is definitely more true to how he actually looked, the expression on his face is just absolutely confounding. And looking at things in this initial stage here really gives you some insight, because it shows that basically every moment, every step of this conception was terrible from start to finish. It like ended in a terrible place, and it started in a terrible place too. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that I would like to rattle off. Again, I've not heard this record yet. I don't know what's going to be on it. I guess I will save full opinions and all of that for when it eventually drops. But like, as of right now, I just don't see the purpose, and I don't see the point in releasing more of this man's vault stuff, packaging it as a new album and presenting it in this like, woo, wild and crazy party way with like the ugliest album art that we've seen all year. And what a step down for Murakami again. But there you go. What are your
I mean, I actually kind of agree with Fantano. Like, there's absolutely no reason why somebody who is still obviously producing money for a label, even past his death almost 5 years ago now, is given this treatment. Like, you get the absolute worst cover art that I've probably seen in quite a while, and you represent him as this absolutely drugged out zombie puppet. Even and call it and name it The Party Never Ends. It feels kind of gross. And like Fantano, I have not heard the album. The album is out, but I feel fairly safe to say that this is probably some of his worst material yet, considering they have to be scraping the bottom of the barrel for anything that he had left over. Like, anything that was good, that was still ready to go before he died, has been released, has been heard, has been available at some point in some form of the, or one way or another. So for this to be what you're kind of like running with now, it has to be the bottom of the barrel stuff, the stuff that would have never seen the light of day any other way. But because you want to keep this money train rolling for yourself, you're willing to put this together, no matter how it might make your now dead artist look legacy wise. Because if I'm an artist, I don't want you to keep putting out my worst verses, my worst songs, the shit that I didn't want out, my throwaways. Like, you can ruin what would be generally a pretty solid legacy for somebody music wise, but then like you just continue to put out trash after trash after trash. It can really tarnish their overall image. And even though you say you're doing this to keep his image alive, sometimes less is more. Sometimes just let it be. Like, nobody remembers the Biggie albums, duets, or the later Tupac stuff, or even a lot of the Tupac albums. Like, there's a reason. They should have just been left right there where they were. This reminds me of like the Pac's Life situation, which was an absolute album that should have never, ever happened. But corporation's going to corporate, you know what I mean? They're going to do what they do. Anything to chase that dollar. And exploiting artists past their death is honestly one of the scummier parts of the music industry and just people in general. And it's kind of like, doesn't make me want to check it out. I don't know how their fans feel about it, but as Fantano said, like, they seem to be kind of upset about it as well. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit.